Vines are one of my favorite parts of a yard and garden. They add beauty and vertical interest. They can also create shade, soften walls and fences, and attract pollinators. Vines usually aren't bothered by pests or disease, and some even grow food. Even in small spaces, they can make a really big impact. Vines are pretty simple to grow, but the tricky part is knowing which one to plant where. So today I'll show you 10 vines I have growing in my yard and talk about where each one grows best to help you decide what to plant in your own yard. Whether your spot gets full sun, afternoon shade, or you want to cover a pergola or trellis. I'll help you figure out which vine to plant and the best spot to plant it. Let's start with full sun. If you have a full sun spot, there are some really beautiful options. Coral vine is definitely one I'd put in this full sun category. The bees love it and it's good for hot areas. It also tolerates partial shade. I first saw this at the Master Gardener's demonstration garden. It was full and beautiful and covered in flowers. I didn't believe it when they told me you cut it back to the ground in the spring and it regrows every year. I could not believe that something so beautiful would grow so fast and so well here in the heat. Give it support or something to climb and you'll get blooms from late summer through fall. It can be invasive in some climates, but here in the low desert, it isn't. I had a couple growing, but I took them out and I've missed it. So I just replanted some here. I can't wait for the blooms. Pink trumpet vine takes full sun, but it also grows well in partial shade. I have 3 growing in my yard in different exposures. They took a little while to get going, but now they've filled in. Don't forget about them. Keep an eye on the branches and the runners that can root along the ground. Keep it trimmed back to encourage branching and keep them out of your neighbor's yard. It needs support to climb and makes an excellent screen. Skyflower. If you train it as a vine, it makes a wonderful living screen or grow it as a background shrub. It handles most exposures, including full sun well. It's a very versatile plant. I have it in a couple of places in my yard and they are absolutely covered in blooms right now. Pollinators love it and it blooms frequently throughout the year. The evergreen leaves are deep green and gorgeous and the deep purple flowers are so pretty. It has a soft, full look. It's native to the Gulf Coast and it blooms best when it's hot. If you want to grow it vertically, you have to give it something to climb. Full sun is one thing, a hot wall with afternoon reflected heat is another. If you have a block wall, a stucco wall, or a spot where it gets really hot in the summer, you need to choose more carefully because not every vine that can handle full sun is going to be happy there. Yellow orchid vine is native to Baja California, evergreen, and a lot slower growing than many other vines. It blooms from spring through summer. The flowers are pretty, but the paper-like pods are beautiful and look like butterflies. This plant has tolerated full western sun here for several years with minimal maintenance, water, or pruning. You do need to keep an eye on the base of the vine. It sends out runners that I keep cut back so it doesn't spread. It blooms at opposite times from coral vine, so planting the two together would give you year-round color. If you've lived in the low desert for very long, you've seen Bougainvillea everywhere. There's a reason for that. It can take reflected heat. This is one of the reasons people plant it. It really can handle those tougher, harsher exposures better than many other vines. But they also drop all those papery bracts and it has thorns. And it can get very large. So if you're thinking about planting it near a pool, walkway, or a space where cleanup or thorns would bother you, that might be a problem. I don't grow it, but my neighbor has some beautiful plants. Cat's claw is also a vine that handles tougher hot wall situations, but be aware that it can damage a wall or fence, and if it gets away from you, you might regret planting it later. Now, I'm not growing this one because I didn't want it to damage my wall, but I wanted to put it on your radar so you're aware of this option. Okay, now let's move to pergolas and arbors. This is where vines really shine. They add overhead coverage, soften structures, and create shade. Vines can make a space more usable and beautiful. I have 3 tangerine crossvines planted at the base of this pergola. They've been in the ground for 3 or 4 years and it's so pretty. It's another full sun, partial shade vine that gives you dramatic coverage for a pergola and beautiful seasonal flowers. I do have to keep it in line a bit and keep it from growing into the garden too much. It can climb on its own, but I had to give it some support to climb up this slippery pergola. Tangerine crossvine gives my yard secret garden vibes when I'm looking through it. This pergola, along with the crossvine, also helps provide natural afternoon shade and a cooler microclimate for part of my vegetable garden. Grapes are another great vine that grows well on a pergola or arbor. I have them growing in a full sun western exposure wall so they can handle lots of sunlight once established, but don't plant them where they won't get enough sun. I had some on a north-facing wall and they struggled. So when you think of vines for your yard, you may not think of grapes because people think of them mainly as fruit, but they can create shade and fill in a structure. They help create a cooler space underneath, and then you get fruit too. They do drop their leaves so they aren't green year-round. Grapes will need support, seasonal pruning, and fertilizing, so they require more attention than a lot of other vines, but you also get grapes, so that's a win. Passion fruit vine is another one I would put in this pergola and arbor category. This vine does okay in full sun, but thrives with some afternoon shade. It will die back if we get a hard freeze, but with the mild winter we had this year, it's huge. Right now, it's flowering and has fruit. Because our summers are so hot, we don't get as much fruit as in milder climates, but it does produce edible, delicious fruit. It definitely needs regular water, it needs support, and wants room to climb and could get a little wild. Keep an eye on the vines. I didn't realize it until after I cut it back, but a couple of years ago, this passion fruit had climbed over the fence and was almost completely covering my neighbor's pool fence. I'm sure they'd gotten used to having their own passion fruit vine over there, so I felt a little bad when I cut it back. Vines green up a space, add so much beauty, and even cool the air around them a bit. I love that my chickens benefit from the cooler microclimate created by these nearby vines. Now let's talk about vines that need a little more protection from afternoon sun. Star jasmine needs afternoon shade, especially as it's getting established. It's a little more tolerant of sun after the first couple of years. The spring blooms, they're my favorite. You might smell them before you notice them. The scent is so good. Like many other vines, it does best if you cut it back every few years. Then it comes back with lush new growth and you get rid of some of that dead undergrowth. I have it behind my potting table, along the pool fence, and on an east-facing wall. So if you have a more protected area and you want seasonal fragrance, star jasmine is a top choice. Lavender starflower is another flowering option for a more protected spot. It's a nice one to consider. I have it growing in a protected courtyard in my front yard. It blooms throughout the year, and other than cutting it back every few years, it's low litter and maintenance free. I also have Japanese honeysuckle growing along this back fence. It also needs afternoon shade. But this definitely falls into the invasive and be careful category. I'm pretty hands-on in my garden, so I keep it cut back and keep an eye on the runners. It greens up this wall, but it's not the right choice for everyone. If you're not gonna pay attention to it, don't plant it. It will take over. So many vines, so few walls. Hopefully you've seen now why I love growing vines so much. Plant them once and you'll get blooms, beauty, and a greener yard for years. I'm planning on doing in-depth how to grow videos for many of these vines. Please let me know which ones you'd like to see first. Thanks for watching.